All right, welcome to another edition of It's a LaGreca Show, and no Don LaGreca. Once again, what a shock, but I do have in his place one of the most beautiful women in the world, actress, model, producer, you name it. She's worn many hats, the legendary Tawny Kitaen. Tawny, how are you today?
Well, other than the migraine, I'm doing really, really well. Thank you, Dave. It's so good to see you.
It's great seeing you. And I've never spoken to somebody who was a guest at Julia and Mason's wedding back in the day, but you have been somebody that I've been a big fan of. You've had an amazing career. You've done it. You've been there. But let me ask you this. And the first question that I'm going to ask you is there one question, Tawny, that you wish people would have asked you that have never asked you in your career?
Wow. Well, can I come at it another way and say, here's a question? Or, I mean, it's flattering, but it's like I have done, if you look at my IMDb, I have done so much more than just the Whitesnake videos. And it's like, and I've worked my ass off, if I'm allowed to say.
Of course.
And I am just so known for the Whitesnake videos. I'm like, okay, Cleveland, like let's get me in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, it's incredible, the body of work that I have, and people are like, oh my God, you're the reason why I listen to Whitesnake.
And probably the big reason why that album was as successful as it was because of your appearance in 5 videos for Whitesnake.
Well, you know what? It's so funny. Was it 5 or 6? One of the videos, they felt, because people started coming to the stadiums, bringing signs saying, bring Tawny on. And it was upsetting some of the members of the band. And John Kalodner, the famous A&R guy, David Geffen's right-hand man. And so they started trying to hype me and started trying to get the band out there and, put me in the shadows. So one of the videos that I did for them, it was just the band, if I may say, as boring as all get out. And the only part that I was allowed to do was, you see, the back of the bus, that was mine and David's living quarters, which I got to decorate. Which is why I was called Yoko Ono by David Kalodner my entire career. You see my hand come out of the back of the of that area, and I grab David and I pull him in. And that was my special appearance in that one particular video, is just my arm. And
that's amazing.
The video, it's like nobody even mentions the video. No one even knows what song it is. So it was like, we've got some good news and we've got some bad news, So I think looking back, I think they would have treated it completely different. Like, we were supposed to do Saturday Night Live. And one of the reasons why they decided to turn it down was Saturday Night Live wanted me in the sketches.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, no, we're Whitesnake, the band. They wanted to differentiate, fill in the blanks for me.
Yes.
With this migraine.
Differentiate.
And separate themselves from me. And so they didn't do it.
Wow. And now, you mentioned all those videos. Obviously, a lot of people remember Here I Go Again as the biggest video. I always loved Is This Love? That was my favorite video. What was your favorite video that you did for them?
The Deeper the Love.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. The Deeper the Love. First of all, there is no, forget that I was married to him. Forget that we got divorced. Forget all of that. David Coverdale has one of the, if not like in the top two or three best rock voices in the entire world.
Oh God, just listen to Deep Purple's Burn. And that's all, you listen to that. It's amazing. Amazing.
He is phenomenal. So that song really resonates with me. And I got to Marty Callner. I love him to death. Let me pick my wardrobe. So I went to Neiman's and I spent like $100,000 on clothes. Wow. And knowing that I got to keep everything, of course, and just let me do things, just like if I wanted to lay on a piano and just roll around on the piano, or if I wanted to walk upstairs and just roll around on whatever I wanted to do, he would just give me props and go.
Wow.
So it was, and plus I think since nobody really knows about it, it's more of like a secret, not really a well-known song.
It's a deep track, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think the millennials listening today would be going to what?
Well, I remember first seeing you for Sergio Valente. I
oh my gosh, I can't believe Dave.
I don't even remember the year. But you're right, you did so much before those. I mean, you were in Bachelor Party, for crying out loud, with Tom Hanks, and that was a big blockbuster movie for its time. Like, what are some of your memories of doing that movie?
That was 20th Century Fox. I mean, that was my second movie, and I got that from my first movie that I ever did was called Gwendolyn, which I'd never been out of the country. I was handed a passport and a bunch of money and said, you're flying all over the world and we're shooting. And long story short, I get a call from my agent as I'm getting on the plane. And he goes, as soon as you land at LAX, you have to go straight to 20th Century Fox and screen test for this movie. And I'm like, no sleep? And he's like, no sleep, just go and screen test. And I screen test with Jeff Conaway, God rest his soul, bless his heart. And because he's no longer with us, obviously. And Paul Reiser. And I guess none of the guys got it because when I showed up, there was Tom Hanks on set.
Wow.
Yeah. But he had already done Splash with Daryl Hannah, so he didn't need to screen test. I think they were just using the guys to see if I could handle the job because, like you said, it was a huge job, and it was it was a huge job. It was my second movie. Was I going to be able to carry it?
And you did. Did you have any inkling that you were working with someone that most people would say right now is one of the greatest actors of all time?
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, absolutely crazy. But at my age, when I look back on my life and the things that I have gone through, it does not surprise me that happens in my life. I've had the most, my book, when it finally gets done, is going to be like, are you sure you're not talking about 20 different women? Like this all happened to one human being? So it's incredible. But may I say that I really, as incredible as Tom is and has been, I think he needs another, whether it be Bachelor Party or something like that, to get an audience of which he deserves, which is a younger generation. Okay. Because he's got it. It's not like he's getting older and he's losing anything. The man's, he's an incredible actor. He's hilarious. He's got everything that it takes. But if I was his agent, I would be like, you know what? A bachelor party too. Whether they used me or not, whether I got killed in a car accident or just as an agent, I would be like, your daughter's getting married, and now you have to put up with her boyfriend, her fiance, and his bachelor party, and you know what happened to yours. You know, and then everything ensues in the whole. And I think Tom, like, who am I to say what Tom needs? But I really think that would be an incredible thing that for Tom.
But also, too, you couldn't do Bachelor Party without Debbie. You need that character.
You do need Debbie. I totally agree with you, Dave. You need Debbie.
You need Debbie. Now, was there any similarities between you and the character Debbie?
Oh, for sure. For sure. We are both very naive when it comes to like strippers and that whole thing. My whole life growing up, I'm just going to spill the beans. I've never had a one night stand. So that fits in with Debbie. Like Debbie would never do, her, she's the same as me. So as I get older, I look at her and I'm like, yeah, Debbie and I are a lot alike. I think sometimes that she's sweeter than me, though. So I need to sometimes turn down my rhetoric. But Debbie's a really good girl. She's a real good girl. I loved Debbie.
And I'm so glad you didn't marry Cole. Nobody wanted you to marry Cole.
Right. I mean, it's like, there are those girls out there going, but he had a Porsche. And it's like, yeah, guess what? The Porsche sits in the garage and the Porsche causes so many problems. Like, no, thank you. Like, oh, you want to date a guy just because he has a Porsche? Do you know how many women there are like that out there in the world? Like, really?
Unfortunately, yeah. It's terrible.
It's crazy.
And guys too. There's guys like that too. That have one thing in mind, so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I got rid of my Porsche and I'm driving a, wait, what are they called? A Kia?
Oh, yeah, it's a big difference between those two cars. Now, you just mentioned that you're writing a book, and I'm glad to hear that because I would have thought by now you would have had a book. So the fact that you're writing a book, what was the most difficult part of it? Because like you just said, you've lived 20 different lives. Yeah. What was the one thing when preparing this book was the most difficult thing to write about?
Writing. Just pure writing. I have dyslexia. So I was raised with a learning disability, which will be in my book. And I was told, I can't tell you how many times, countless amount of times from so many teachers that I was stupid. Literally, they would say that. Like, they would never say that today in today's world. We've come so far, but they use that word on me, and that really sticks with somebody. So I was told that I was stupid my whole life. So writing was always a problem because I mixed my C's and my S's and all that. So what I did was I had to like a stenographer, put it on tape, and someone had to listen to it and write it down, and translate it for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm
not joking when I said the hardest thing about writing the book was actually writing.
The process of it. But to write, forget about the process and how difficult it is to actually write, especially with everything you just said, but to open up your life, to be able to expose some of the weaknesses and things that have happened, to you. How difficult was that? That's like open nerve. Like, I'm sure there were things that you had to look back on that you may have not looked back on in decades.
Well, that is, Dave, that's absolutely true. That's 1,000% true. I am now at the age where I want to talk about those weaknesses, because I realize that when I find a woman that I admire, if she hasn't been through anything and she doesn't have any weaknesses or have any weaknesses in her life, I can't relate. And so um, I find it's very cathartic, and I enjoy it, and I'm not embarrassed by it. You know, if you would have told me to write this 5 years ago, there's so much I wouldn't have put in because I would have been embarrassed and I would have cared what other people thought, and no one. I would have gone to my grave, and everybody would have thought, well, that's who she is. And that wouldn't have been the end of it. That wouldn't have been who I was. So I'm grateful. As much as I don't like getting older and I don't like what it does to your elasticity of your skin, I love what it does to your mind. And I love the wisdom that comes with it.
So now, like, and you've done so much in your life and in your career. At this time in your life, what inspires you? What motivates you now?
The fact that I still get called on to do to work, that I still that after I get off the phone with the EPs or the director or whatever of that particular project, I hang up the phone and I go, like Sally Field, you know, they like me. They still like me. And that's really that really blows my mind, because, you know, although, and I'm not sure, but I'm just assuming it's the same with you, Dave. We're getting older, but we don't feel it. We feel like we're still, you know, like I honestly think I'm 28 years old. You know, I get out of bed, my knees don't quite agree with me, but I still feel like a 28-year-old girl, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, what 28-year-old girl doesn't want to go out and explore and learn and fail?
Really quick, and I appreciate the time that you gave us today. It means a lot to me. I've been following your career for a long time, from being on the cover of Rat Out of the Cellar to the Whitesnake videos, Bachelor Party, Santa Barbara Witchboard. You know, so everybody, I'm sure you do a lot of these conventions, and I'm sure a lot of people come up and have you sign 8x10s of everything that you've done in your career. So everybody has their favorite memory of you. What is the one thing that you want to be remembered for more than anything else?
Wow. Wow, Dave. That's heavy. That's really, really heavy. You know what? I don't know. I mean, the Whitesnake videos are so iconic. And I was able to do it my way with Marty Collner and keep it clean and keep it classy and not have to take off my clothes and get in a bikini and climb on a chain link fence. And I'm really, really grateful for that. And during the 80s, that wasn't what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to be in a bikini, climbing a chain link fence. And I went, no, just like I did with Playboy. They came at me 4 or 5 times. And my dad was still alive. You know what? Listen, I have been a prude my entire life. And I came up with this when I was in high school. And I thought I was really like something. I thought it was really cool. The boys kept calling me a tease. They said, you're such a tease, like meaning I never give it up. You're such a tease. And one day I just bounced back at a guy and I said, I'd rather be a tease than a sleaze. And I just thought, I am such a freaking poet. Like, that's what I need to do in life. I need to write things down and be a poet. And so I just, you know what? I think my message to other girls is just total respect for yourself and not let anybody take advantage of you, because when you wake up in the morning, you have to deal with circumstances that you might not be too happy with. And I thank God never had to go through that in my life. And I've been through a lot of shit, and that's not one of them. And I'm really proud of myself for that.
And you have a lot to be proud of. And, you know, coming out of 2020, this whole COVID period, we had so much loss. You know, we lose Kobe Bryant at the beginning of the year. We lose Eddie Van Halen at the end of the year. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question, because I think he's criminally underrated. And it's somebody that we lost in Robin Crosby, who, you know, was part of one of the most influential bands of the 80s, a tremendous guitar player and presence on stage. If you never got to see Rat live, he was like, you know, I do a wrestling show. He was like a professional wrestler. He's so big and charismatic. And I just feel like a lot of people don't mention him when they talk about some of the great presences in rock and some of the greatest musicians in rock. And, you know, just some thoughts on it. I know you were very, very close to him, but I just felt like I needed to bring that up with you, because I think he needs to be more appreciated in this stem of time.
Well, Dave, as you know, he was the love of my life. And people throw that saying around and don't really quite understand what that means. I think as you get older and wiser, and you truly, truly know what that means, and you can still hang on to it. He's been the love of my life for my entire life since I was 16 years old. Yeah, I appreciate it so much when someone like yourself, but you didn't have to do homework because we know each other. But when I do interviews with people that I don't know, I am so grateful that they've done their homework and they bring Rob up. Anytime someone can bring Rob Crosby up to me, I feel like another angel got their wings.
Wow. Tawny, I'm glad that we were able to do this. I'm glad we were able to sit and talk. You've had an amazing career, a career that is still going on today. You have a lot to be proud of. And I just appreciate time. I love you very much. And thank you so much for the time today.
Dave, you know I love you too. And thank you for the shirts. And of course, I will put one on and take a picture. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know I will. And yes, we've been at it with each other for a long time. And I'm grateful and I'm proud to call you a friend. And thank you for always being there for me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tawny. Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
You too. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.